Value of Wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.
It's your boy Miguel Z with the VOW Wrestling New Japan Rebound Podcast. I've got a guest for you folks at StocktonCon.
What up, everybody? AJ Kirsch here, the voice and the host of StocktonCon. The value of wrestling is awesome, so subscribe on YouTube. Scan the QR code right here, now. Subscribe, check it out.
There we go.
You'll be glad you did.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, that part. Hey, man, shout out the value of wrestling. I'm right here with the Big O's, San Jose. We done shut the shit down. Love and respect, though, right? Value of wrestling. Hello.
Man, thank you, brother. Thank
Oh, you didn't know, you better call somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Value of Wrestling right here on YouTube. This is your AEW Dynamite post-show review for March 6, 2024. The first Dynamite of March, the brand new Dynamite, the hot and changed Dynamite. We got some awesome music to enter the show, kind of feeling like old school WWE music. We opened to a new entrance ramp that looked like old TNA, and then we had the colors that looked like Tony Khan bought all the leftovers from NXT 2.0. But yeah, we have a new AEW Dynamite logo, colors, look, arena, music, intro. It looked good. The colors, the combination of everything they put out there tonight at the arena, it looked good. It looked better than it has in a long, long time. It was a nice touch to start off AEW Dynamite for March, just reset this brand new way of going about it. It was awesome to see, and I can't wait to see what we get going forward. But before we go forward, let me introduce you to my co-host, the one, the only. And of course, Miguel Z, the master of New Japan Pro Wrestling, sitting there in the chat. And you can also join in the chat if you're watching. Join along. Join the conversation. Tell us what you thought of AEW Dynamite for March 6th. We had a big debut and a big in-ring debut tonight. Some interesting stuff going on. We opened the show with Swerve Strickland coming out here talking to Tony Schiavone, and Swerve Strickland giving us a really great promo. Sort of a mid-baby face a little bit here. It's talking about the fans cheering him. and talking about how he's coming for Joe and this title. This brings out Joe. Joe's here to show everybody what a champion looks like. And, of course, he gets heavily booed. So we have Swerve as a babyface and Joe as a heel, and we get to set up this situation here. Eventually, the Undisputed Kingdom's music hits, and they all come out. We get Adam Cole in the wheelchair with Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett, and, of course, Wardlow. They talk about Roderick Strong now being the AEW International Champion, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven being the greatest Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion in wrestling history. You can say your 2 cents in a second, I know, but that's what he said, not what I'm saying.
I know.
I'm just repeating what he said. And then we talked about Wardlow and his title shot, and the only reason Joe is champion is because they've allowed him to have it. And they start off. Swerve laughs his half off. Swerve and Joe. Swerve asked for a title match. He wanted one tonight since they were both ready. This wound up with Adam Cole issuing a challenge for Joe and Swerve to take on Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. They were going to set it for another date, but then out of nowhere, Tony Schiavone gets on the mic and goes, Tony Khan just told me this match is official and it's happening right now. So we started off the show pretty hot, pretty interesting, and then we got a tag match, Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland versus Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. I would say the opening was great. Then we got this moment, and I was a little disappointed. This was a feed me match. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett here are supposed to be the greatest tag team in Ring of Honor history, the greatest tag team, world tag team champions, and they're getting fed to Joe and Swerve in this match. At least that's the feeling. We'll talk about the match in a second. I felt like we took a great step forward into a new era of what should be AEW Dynamite, and then we kind of gave us a match that I don't think anybody really cared back, and it felt like we took a couple steps back. Mr. Clarke, what did you feel about the opening part of this?
I, like you, I guess I see silver linings a little bit more than you do at times. I didn't think the opening was bad. I love the first part of it when you have Swerve and Joe going back and forth a little bit. And you have the Undisputed Kingdom come out. You expected that because you know that's kind of an overarching, storyline arc at the moment. And they're actually using it, not just putting it to the back until they really want to pull the trigger. So I think that's kind of good. Calling Mike Bennett and Matt Taven the greatest Ring of Honor champions. I know, first of all, from an Adam Cole perspective, that makes perfect sense for his character. But I'm like, okay, class, say it with me. Them boys. The Briscoe brothers will always be the greatest ROH World Tag Team Champions. Just based on the length of time they were in the company, based on the many reigns they had, and the matches they had. You can always go to Honor Club if you want to go see how that turned out. But of course, I expected Adam Cole to prop his boys up. I just don't understand how he can say with a straight face the greatest ROH World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
I could even understand if he said great, but the greatest? No. Anywho.
Welcome to the chat, the real wide. I'm sorry. No singing tonight. I know it's a one-time deal, but not tonight. Maybe we'll sing a little something later, but probably not. Not the way you're thinking, at least.
I'm considering opening up a free tier Patreon, and maybe that should be an extra down the line. Maybe
we can get there. Hi, you're just all over the place tonight, aren't you? You're like, I want to be the center of attention. Anyways, we open with Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland versus Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. Joe and Matt start this. Joe corners him and hits him in the right. Eventually, Joe gloats to Swerve as Matt gets tagged in. Joe attacks Matt. Joe's hit Matt, then Mike gets in the ring, and then Matt gets back in the ring. Okay, now we're following. We get a 2. Eventually, Swerve gets to the ring and finishes off. Swerve hits the house call, gets a 1, 2, 3 while staring down Joe. There you go. Yes, we'll do the... Anyways, Joe and Swerve Strickland get the big win here. Swerve and Joe was more the story than the tag team match, showing up one another. This match went 6 minutes, 54 seconds. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett pretty much just getting squashed in this. Afterwards, Wardlow walks down the entranceway, ripping off his shirt, kind of got stuck. The camera cut off, and then it came back, and he looked like he was trying to wear it like a training bra, and then he finally got it off. They all stare down. Why Wardlow is staring down Swerve, Joe comes up behind Swerve and locks in the sleeper and chokes him out while he stares down Wardlow. It was a match. I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot to write about. Again, we opened really hot, and then we kind of got this match that was, it helped do the storyline of Swerve and Joe. Wardlow walking down there like, look at me. I can't take Wardlow seriously at this level because he hasn't beaten anybody again yet. It's he's there, he's walking down, he's staring down Joe, and it's like, I don't feel like you're a threat to either of these guys, unfortunately. I want him to be there. Don't take it wrong. Like, I would love Wardlow to be there. He was almost there at one point, and then they killed it. And now we're here, and I'm like, I don't have any faith in it right now. And, of course, later in the night, I'll go ahead and give the spoiler. We know that Wardlow will be taking on Joe for the AEW World title at Big Business. So we're rushing right to this title match, and Wardlow's going to lose to Joe again. That's going to kill Wardlow again. Like, you're trying to build Wardlow up. You're going to rush him into the title picture. You ain't even saving it for Dynasty, where you could have other reasons, but you're going to have Wardlow versus Joe on Big Business. Yeah. Mr. Clarke, your thoughts?
The saving grace, and I agree with you, I don't see Wardlow going over on Joe, but the saving grace is the fact that they do have history, which means there's the possibility of at least a good match. Now, do I have the greatest faith in it? No, because we know who's booking the damn show. But the possibilities is there, and I think that is the most silver lining thing I can say about that at this point.
Yeah, no, and it'll be a great match on paper, but I don't care enough about Wardlow being there. Yes, they'll have a great match, but
But see, here's the thing also. Like, I understand when it comes to professional wrestling, we all want storylines. We all want a reason to invest. But when you look at the overall of this company, if you can't enjoy it for just wrestling matches, at that point, what are you watching it for? Because we all have zero confidence in the booking.
Yes. No, I mean, Wardlow and Joe, we've seen it, though. That's the other thing. We've seen it enough times when they were fighting over the TNT championship. We are back to rinse and repeat. So it's like it's hard to get motivated for this, and they haven't built Wardlow to feel like a threat against Joe. Back then, he felt like this was going to be a good match. Now it just feels like two big guys going in the ring. Joe's going to beat him in the story. Real Wyatt, does Ospreay walk out of Wembley as the world champion? At this point, yes and no. Yes, if that's his trajectory and he's going to get the world title, yes, he's walking out of that. And I think that's what Tony Khan's going to hot shot him to. Do I want to see him in we're 5 months away from that, 6 months roughly. I feel like you're going to shotgun that to what Ospreay is doing. I think you need to give it time, but I get it. You're going to be in Wembley. You need that big moment. He probably is. And my biggest concern is going to be world champion so quickly that his title reign is going to be great. But when he loses the title, where does he go from there? It's going to be interesting to see how they maintain Ospreay. After that, I'm just worried they're going to shotgun him. And honestly, after the last few matches, I'm like, I wish this boy would have signed with WWE because, good God. I mean, Ospreay and WWE would have been amazing with Triple H. This guy would have killed it. We would have had 5-star classics. I mean, Will Ospreay and Seth Rollins. I mean, those two mother truckers would have torn the house down. I'm just worried about what Ospreay is going to be like in AEW because we've seen the pattern of AEW. They hotshot these guys briefly. Thank God the fans have Ospreay has a heavy fan base that may keep him going. Unlike in Adam Copeland, when he showed up, he fizzled out. Deonna Purrazzo fizzled out. I mean, everybody else Ibushi, flatline. I mean, all these people that have come over have had their moments and then flatline. Luckily, Ospreay has such a huge fan base. I don't know if that will flatline as quickly. And my only other concern is they got to be real careful. Ospreay on TV each week is great. We can't burn through some of our big matches too quickly. We've got to let some of these big matches happen. And Ospreay can, work with some of these younger talents and not necessarily have these banger matches because if it's banger after banger after banger, the audience is going to get worn out because then it's like, okay, we see it every week. What's special about it? That's the one attraction Ospreay's had for years. it was in limited quality. You didn't see it all the time. So when you saw it, it was amazing. So
Yeah.
Tony Khan's got to be real careful how he does this, because if he burns people out on Ospreay too quickly, Ospreay may not be the Ospreay that we love. And so that's my only concern. I don't know. They didn't do it yet. I thought Joe was going to be the transitional champion. They didn't pull the trigger yet. If they're going to do Swerve versus Ospreay, then, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to go from Joe to Swerve to Ospreay, which kind of sucks. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays into everything. Anyways, we're informed that Brian Cage will be taking on Hook for the FTW Championship. We go backstage with Renee and Hook. Renee is there looking like she's wearing fabric stolen from somebody's grandma's couch from 1950 something. I don't know. She's there with Hook. Hook gets interrupted by Chris Jericho, who talks about the history of Taz and then how Hook suplexed him the other night, and it brought memories back. And Chris Jericho acknowledged Hook as being the real deal, and they tap fists. And I'm like, no, you don't need Chris Jericho giving rub to Hook. Hook is a guy that's okay on his own. He can be working with Orange Cassidy and some of these other people, and it's okay. Hook and Jericho, I'm just like, no, I don't want it. Jericho needs to be kept away from Hook. It's not going to help Hook. I think Jericho's going to be an anchor around Hook's neck, honestly. And I love Jericho and everything he's done, but Jericho is dying in AEW. Like, he is very stagnant and kind of like, go take a break, Jericho. Go away. We don't need you every week, every day. You need to go away and reinvent yourself again, because you're just kind of flat and you're hanging out with all the young kids. It's kind of getting a little creepy at some point. Look at it. He's hanging out with all the young guys. Well, he wants to hang around Sammy Guevara. Now he wants to hang around Hook. I mean, I guess he's trying to still feel young and relevant. Anyways, then we go backstage.
I wonder what's Fozzy up to.
He needs to go on a concert tour. Go make a new album. Go do something. Refresh. Come up with a new theme song. Anything, please. Just get off my TV for a while so we can refresh. I'm just not a Jericho. I don't need Jericho and Hook, and it gets worse in a minute. So from there, we got
a Jerichoholic.
I don't know if I was ever. Yeah, I was. I love Jericho in WCW in the early WWE days. He kind of worn on me on different times. He did great stuff, but Jericho was never really. In the later part of his WWE run, it was like cool. The list was a great thing. And when he came to AEW, he was hot. He's reinvented himself, but the AEW Chris Jericho hasn't really reinvented himself. Yes, he's been the Ocho and the Wizard and these things, but they're not really reinnovations of his character. They're just different nicknames for the same character. And of course, yes, he's gone back to play the Lionheart and the Painkiller, but he hasn't really reinvented himself in AEW. And I think we're at that point. Jericho needs something new to him, some way to refreshen his character, something that's going to give him some valid interest. Otherwise, you're just Jericho, and you're just like, feels like the
maybe it's time that he takes his rear back to New Japan for a little while.
Maybe something to refresh him. He's stagnant. You're just like, he's getting up there where he's kind of like feeling like he could be headed towards that Ric Flair era where he's still just trying to hang on and hold on,
Oh Lord.
It's kind of true. He's just you look at him and you're just kind of like, oh, I know you're trying, Jericho, but
he's not there yet, at least.
Yeah, but he's getting, he's more on that side than this side.
Yes, he's getting there.
That's all I'm saying. The Young Bucks are going to have two huge announcements, but they said they'll make them in the ring. From there, we got the FTW Championship match, Hook versus Brian Cage. Why we needed this match, I guess they've been bickering between each other over the last couple of months. They at least gave us a video package of them bickering back and forth on what brought them to this point. And Cage, I think you need to leave AEW is all I can tell you. Hook eventually gets a half Nelson Red Rum. He falls back. Hook lands on the tack. Hook won't let go, and Brian Cage is out. Brian Cage presses out the Red Rum. This match went 10 minutes, 30 seconds. And then eventually the Gates of Agony came down to attack Hook. And then here comes Chris Jericho to save Hook. And then you're just like, no. Brian Cage needs to go to WWE. There's nothing left for him to do in AEW. He is a jobber. The big guy is a jobber, and it's sad. He could be something impressive, but they have just ate him alive in AEW. He is just been a wasted talent. Let's go see him in WWE. Let's see him and Braun Breaker tied up. Let's see him and Bobby Lashley, him and Kevin Owens. Let's let Paige go to WWE. It's your saving grace. You're done in AEW. There's just nothing left here. Go back to New Japan. And Jericho, stay away from Hook. Your thoughts on this match, Mr. Clarke?
They continue. What do I say? They. It's one person ultimately. Anyways, the company continues to make Brian Cage look like, well, how do I say this without saying something I don't need to be saying on air? They make him look like Hangman Page, if you know what I'm getting at in the negative connotation. Yeah. And if you ever saw Brian Cage in, I almost said Lucha Libre, Lucha Underground, or even TNA,
yes,
he was just so much better. He has talent. I don't understand why they don't use him better. If they're not going to put him in the world title picture, that's fine. But I don't understand why he's a jobber to the damn stars. I'm glad that they're continuing to give Hook a push. Hook is great, but I don't understand the logic in this booking. I really don't.
Yeah. No, I'm done. Brian Cage needs to go to WWE or back to TNA or anywhere. He's done in AEW. There's just nothing that can save him at this point. Big jobber. Kind of like Lance Archer.
Unfortunately, yes.
Real reason Brian Cage and the Moana Boys are on TV is because of Swerve. I wish Swerve was just by himself. Swerve is kind of by himself. Yes, they keep attaching these boys to him through Nana and different variances. But yeah, I'm hoping they're. And Swerve's going babyface, so I'm assuming he's going to start pulling away from them. Yeah, all these guys.
He's only with them when he needs henchmen. That's all it is.
Yes. But I think he's going to slowly pull away from them. So, I mean, it is what it is. We go over the vacating of the tag team titles, and Khan says there's a huge tag team tournament. I don't know. They had a video package with him talking about it, and that from the scrum, I guess. We didn't really get any clear reference on any of it. Like, I don't know if this is the March Madness tournament. I guess it's going to be, it's the idea. It's Madness tournament. So the Meat Madness, it's going to be Match Madness with a Tournament Madness. But we didn't get any breakdowns of lines. We didn't get any breakdown of who's in it. We didn't get any breakdown of what it is. So hopefully next week that's what they're going to introduce. Otherwise, they didn't really do anything that made you want to go, okay, this is going to be interesting. They wasted a huge opportunity to get that started. Renee's backstage again with Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, and she asks what's next for OC. He says he will continue to look for gold to fill his backpack. And then she asks if the Best Friends if they're in the tag hunt, but Chuck says he is not cleared, so he made a tag match on Rampage for them as they are in the match. And then we went to Wrestling Purgatory, maybe. I don't know if it's necessarily hell, but it was kind of purgatory because we got Kill Switch versus Matt Menard, the Patriarchy at ringside. Matt Menard gets goozled, gets stomped in 2 minutes and 8 seconds by Kill Switch. Don't know, don't care. Garcia came running down to attack Kill Switch. In comes Nick Wayne. We battled out. Christian goes. Wayne's whirled off the top to Garcia. Christian Cage stands at the ramp, atop the ramp with his family. And here comes Adam Copeland. So instead of having Copeland return at the pay-per-view, we saved him for this Dynamite and a waste. And again, he went off playing tag with Christian Cage. They went off to play tag, and then they decided to go play hide and seek in the arena. And Christian Cage stole a car, and nobody cares that he just committed Grand Theft Auto. And Adam Copeland says that they're going to fight in Toronto on March 20th on a Dynamite. Cope Cage 3 for the TNT title in an I Quit match. So not only are we going to give you Wardlow versus Samoa Joe for the AEW title next week on Big Business, wasting a pay-per-view, your next pay-per-view in April. You're already creating a pay-per-view in April. You have a pay-per-view at the end of April, and you're throwing away the AEW World title match that Wardlow just won. You're already throwing that out the window, so I'm sure we're going to get Swerve and Joe at Dynasty, which is fine, or whatever's going to happen there. But now we're throwing away Cope and Cage, a 3 for the TNT title and an I Quit match, because it's going to be in Toronto where it all started. And I'm like, I get the story basis idea, like we started in Toronto, we're going to end in Toronto, but I'm like, I don't care to see Cope and Christian Cage 3 for the TNT title. So I guess this is where Cage or Copeland's finally going to win the TNT title and walk off. Yada yada. I don't know why he needs the title. I don't care about Adam Copeland. If you do, cool. I'm just over it. And I feel like they're wasting this on a Dynamite when they should be making this for a pay-per-view event. I get why it's in Toronto. Ooh, cool, whatever. Mr. Clarke, your thoughts on this joke of a match that led to the hanky-panky between Christian Cage and Adam Copeland chasing each other through the arena?
You knew this whole point of this match was this feud must continue. That's all it was. And then adding Copeland back into it, obviously. Daniel Garcia is going to have another match somewhere in this. Maybe we'll probably wind up getting a 6-man out of this at some point between Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, and Copeland. And
Yeah.
Nick Wayne, Christian, and Killswitch.
This is just a joke of a feud. I'm over it. They've extended it far beyond its belief. And if they're not building to a pay-per-view style match and they're just going to burn it on Dynamite, it's like, I don't care. I'm sorry. If that offends you, I don't care. Here's the deal, Tony. You want to build this feud and feel it important, then you got to build Adam Copeland to feel important, and he really hasn't. Secondly, it should be on a pay-per-view. I know you want to tell the story in Toronto, but it's like you're wasting a really good pay-per-view match that you could build a story around and make people care about. You're throwing it on a Dynamite. If we're going to be like, cool, it'll probably be a good match on paper. Not that we haven't seen Christian Cage and Adam Copeland wrestle 3 million freaking hundred times in our lifetime, but yay. So I guess Christian Cage is going to get choked out with the whatever the crossface with a chair bar in his mouth type of thing. So that's how we end it. Yay. I'm sorry. I know people are probably saying this is going to be awesome, this is going to be great, but I'm like, when you're telling me it's on a Dynamite, I'm just kind of like, cool. It's the third one. Cool. Adam Copeland wins.
It's where you get the most eyeballs.
Yeah, but you know what? You need to get people reason to spend $60 every month for your pay-per-views.
I don't disagree with you.
And he doesn't necessarily get that many eyeballs. Copeland and Cage are not bringing in the ratings. You know, they're averaging 800,000 people. So, again, I look at your viewership. Are they really bringing in the eyes that you want? Adam Copeland's not bringing in those people from WWE and your casual fans that knew him as Edge to come watch Copeland anymore. That viewership has died since he's fizzled. So, again, you're talking about, yeah, it gets eyes on the program. Cool, it's going to be a upper match. But, again, this is an opportunity to make money on a pay-per-view.
I agree with your point, but by the same token, we should start looking at the numbers between what the ratings are, quote unquote, and how many pay-per-view buys.
Yeah,
because if there's still more on the TV show, that's probably their line of thinking then.
That's true. We don't know those statistics, but again, it's hard for me to get excited for Copeland and Cage anymore. Like, you know, after World's End, and then they fumbled the ball, and now we want to. Tony Khan has this bad habit again and again, and I pointed out, he'll start a storyline, and then all of a sudden he'll drop it off, and it'll fizzle off, and then it'll just be, oh yeah, we got to go finish this storyline. Unlike WWE now, I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, well, they done the same thing with Gunther and Chad Gable. They had to cool Gunther and Chad Gable to get it to where we are now to make it make sense, because that had longer life in it. This one doesn't have that much life. Anyways, we're backstage with Kyle O'Reilly, and he has nothing but love for the Undisputed Kingdom, but he wants to take his own path. It's easier with friends, but he's going to do whatever he's going to do on his own. He's been gone for 2 years. I can't even believe he's been gone that long. Anyways, at least tonight he didn't look like he crawled out of the tent to the backwoods, you know. Didn't look like he was running away from Bigfoot in the mountains there. You just say hanky-panky. Yes, Christian Cage and Adam Copeland were playing hanky-panky, chasing each other around the arena playing tag. Anywho. Kyle O'Reilly, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. See.
We'll see when he actually gets put into a storyline or actually has a match. Because obviously this is not much. It's just letting us, or just reminding us that he's here. Okay, cool.
Exactly. Anyways, Tony Schiavone's in the ring, and he's been down since the EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, as he announced them. I wish they would figure out what they're calling them these days. They go back and forth on the stupid crap. They come out and say Sting and Darby cheated. They invited all their friends from the retirement home, even his sons, and they cheated. Matt calms Nick down. Nick says he has a good point. They ended Sting's career forever. Yeah, okay, cool. Whatever. They come out. They got to do a bit of house cleaning. Then Matthew's upset because he has to say this, and with no favoritism. they're going to have to, because Hangman attacked 2 referees and now whatnot, they have to suspend Hangman Adam Page indefinitely from the Elite without pay. So he's not suspended from AEW. He's just been suspended indefinitely from the Elite. So, yay.
Mm-hmm.
The next announcement is Kenny Omega, their dear friend. He's disappeared. He's no longer around. He's still suffering from diverticulitis. And so he's not showing up for his dates. And they told Kenny Omega he is fired. As for item number 2, which I thought Kenny's firing was that. But anyways, they get interrupted. And here comes Eddie Kingston for some random reason. He's coming down and gets into it with the Bucks briefly. And then you hear the infamous sound of a coin dropping, and here comes the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, coming out to his music. At least he came out in a nice suit. He didn't look like downtrodden. At least looked decent. He got in the ring. Eddie and him had a stare down. Eddie went to go after the Bucks. Okada stops Eddie. Okada with the Rainmaker on Eddie. Nick announced that Okada is now the newest member of the Elite for you, Mr. Z. Okada has become the leader, not the leader, but the newest member of the Elite. I guess he'll take Omega's place. So,
Basically,
I hope that makes you happy. Anyways, yes, it was a bit of a rough segment. I agree, but the reveal, we got to see Okada. He's signing with the Elite. He attacked Eddie Kingston. I don't know. Okada was entrance. At least it was better than some of the other ones. I don't know if I'm excited yet. We'll have to see how it plays out. Mr. Clarke, your thoughts?
as far as entrances go, so far they haven't done Will Ospreay dirty yet, and Okada I thought was pretty good for an AEW entrance.
Yes.
So they've not done the best with other New Japan talent before, even their AEW formerly New Japan talent, like the Bucks. But we'll see how it goes. Going based on tonight, I have a little more faith. It's only by 1%, but it's a little more faith than previously.
Yeah. No.
The idea of having Okada as the main event heel in the Elite, because obviously the Bucks are always going to be the tag team. So you, by proxy, you look at Okada as the leader, just because he's the single main eventer. It all entails, obviously, again, how's the follow-up go? We'll all be watching.
That's that. And in long terms, if Okada's Elite and Elite originally came out of the Bullet Club, does that by proxy make Okada a Bullet Club member now?
He was the leader of Chaos. He's fought in Bullet Club so damn often. It's odd that he's now teaming with 2 former members of Bullet Club.
I know. That's where it gets crazy. And of course, we heard that the scapegoat Jack Perry joined, I forget what stable in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and also has requested Miguel Z will know. But it's also been stated to supposedly requested his release from AEW. We don't know if that was in character or if that was reality. Mr. Miguel Z, tell us what tribe, group, faction Jack Perry joined in New Japan Pro Wrestling. From there, we got Riho versus Chris Statlander. This solid match went 9 minutes, 40 seconds. Riho gets the win. Mostly this comes because Stokely handed Statlander a chain to use. She held the chain but decided to drop it. Riho, she walks in and gets another German and rolls through and gets a roll-up. So Statlander was hitting the German suplexes on Riho, but Riho rolled her through for a pin. 1, 2, 3. Riho gets a big win. It feels like they're slowly going to start turning Statlander or Will Nightingale or both of them heel. Slow burning turn. It's okay. Could have lived without Riho and Statlander here. It really didn't do a whole lot of anything. Fuck, I'm done. Why are you done, Mr. Z? Why are you done?
And by the way, the name of that group is House of Torture.
House of Torture is the one Jack Perry joined. Mr. Clarke, while we wait for him to reply, go ahead and tell me what you thought about Riho and Chris Statlander.
I have mixed feelings because on one hand, I like the idea of them actually using Riho more than just as a stepping stone as the former AEW World's Women's Champion. But the story they had with Chris Statlander and Stokely, like, oh, I'm not going to use the chain. Like, I
So
don't know.
Riho
Because,
should be.
when you and I were talking off air,
Yes.
like, is Chris Statlander eventually going to turn heel? Is it going to be Willow Nightingale? It's like, Stokely's going to have something to do with this, obviously.
So Riho should sing the monkey song. No, not me. I don't want to be your stepping stone. And there you go, Mr. Wyatt. You got sing along tonight. Go the monkey song. There's a throwback for you. They're waiting for Mr. Miguel to explain why he's fucking done. Backstage, we get Toni Storm is behind her stunt double, Mariah May. We get an interview with Renee Young, and it's in black and white, of course. Why not? Renee tells us, or Tony asks Renee what season it is. Renee says it's almost spring. That'll be next week, and she's giving out her first ever Tony Award. She pins Mariah's new T-shirt on the strap. Yay! Ever.
Oh, yes, she's giving her first Tony Award.
Yeah, she's going to give out her first Tony Award. We were backstage after the break, and Shoku was with Will Nightingale. Shoku calls Chris his favorite and says she needs to listen more to what he is saying. Will get a shot at Riho next week. She tells Shoku that she'll do things her way next week. She'll stay away. She has a message for Julia Hart. She's coming for that title, and she will become the face of TNT. You're on TNT, dear, so you can't really do that. Can you? House of Torture. Thank you for catching up. Next week, Darby Allin will take on Safety Scissors Jay White. So it's Tony Schiavone, and he introduces Darby Allin. Darby Allin's out here hyping up everything he is going to wrestle. And we don't know if this is going to be his last wrestling match because he leaves March 27th to go climb Mount Everest. And he doesn't know if he's going to make it back from climbing Mount Everest. This might be his last match ever. He drops the title and looks to leave, but then the music of Bullet Club Gold come out. And here comes Jay White with the guns. And Jay White tries to cut this great promo, but it falls on deaf ears. The crowd doesn't pop for him. And nobody cares. He's trying to go back heel Bullet Club Jay White that we used to love. But nobody cares. Because you're like, no, you already cut that face promo. You're saying Scissor Me Daddy. And everybody loves the Acclaim crap. You're kind of killed yourself. Darby Allin and him have a back and forth. Darby then whispers in his ears, and Jay turns to his boys and turns back around, and the bat is at his neck. Darby Allin says, if you're going to face me, come alone. So we'll have to see what happens next week. Dynamite will be a good match in the ring. Other than the fact I really have no desire. The Jay White feels worthless to me. So your thoughts on this promo, sir?
If they start to rebuild him from here on out, I think we can fall in love with Jay White again. But if they just continue with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang crap, then there's just no hope. And that's all I really got to say about that.
From there, we get the House of Black, who threatens Mark Briscoe. They're going to light him on fire. And they had Julia Hart. Julia Hart just had a promo. They came back and did a promo with the House of Black. They're gonna set Mark Briscoe on fire, basically. And Julia Hart walks away going, burning down, down, down in a burning ring of fire. The ring of fire. There's another sing-along. So you got two in one night. You should feel special. Mark Briscoe waxes the Poetics of Fire, and he's here to take them on, and he's going to take all three of them on Rampage or Collision. I don't know what show because I didn't pay much attention because they killed it. Then Jay Lethal walks up and says, I got to make peace with my old friend. We've known each other for 20 years. I'm going to help you. So now we have Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal. I'm like, cool. They're gonna pull Jay Lethal and put him with Mark Briscoe. We might have something else. No, then they killed it because then Mark tells him not to bring Jeff Jarrett. Jay says, defend Jeff Jarrett and says, don't you want this evil son of a bitch going into this type of war? And besides, you don't have to trust him. Trust me. So now the House of Black's going to take on Jay Lethal, Mark Briscoe, and Jeff Jarrett. And to me, that kills the whole thing. So I'm just like, Jeff Jarrett doesn't need to be in this feud. And why can't we get Jay Lethal coming back? Jay Lethal had this great story, in the Continental Classic where being around Jeff Jarrett cost him not the ability to win one single match in that tournament. And he's still hanging out with Jeff Jarrett. And Jay Lethal is a jobber to the stars of the Jeff Jarrett world. And it's a damn freaking shame because Jay Lethal is awesome. And so, yay, we're going to see the House of Black versus Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett. In a street fight, guitars are going to get knocked over. There's going to be cheating. It's just going to be one of those matches that you're just like, yeah, it's an AEW match where a referee can't control crap.
at least the silver lining for you is the fact that they actually gave you a reason that Jarrett's in this match, not just pushing him there. Now, you may not like the story. I understand that completely. You're not a Jarrett fan. I get it. But they at least explain something to you.
Jarrett fan aside, I mean, Jarrett's done a lot of great things in wrestling. And just in AEW, I just don't, he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. He's not helping anybody. It's just kind of he's there, and it's like he's a weight. He's the anchor around Jay Lethal, where Jay Lethal should be freaking shining bright. You know what I'm saying?
I disagree, and the only reason why I disagree is because even before Jarrett and Lethal hooked up, Tony Khan's booking of Jay Lethal has been trash.
Yeah, but I mean, him being around Jarrett's not helping him where Jay Lethal should be. Anywho. So, Mr. Z, it's your time. Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. This is your main event. Will Ospreay coming out looking great. Of course, he came out first, which was a little confusing to me because I thought he was the big main eventer. Kyle Fletcher hadn't been presented this way. Of course, Kyle Fletcher is your Ring of Honor World TV Champion. So he came out second. Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher had their peaceful lockup and friendly shake and hug at the beginning of this. Don Callis on commentary for this whole debacle. And this is a good, solid match. Overall, Kyle Fletcher looked great. Will Ospreay elevated Kyle Fletcher to one of the higher levels than we've ever seen Kyle Fletcher. This match was solid, great back and forth. The only thing was, as we got to the end, these guys went counter for counter, which is good in some ways, but it can get waxing. Of course, these two guys know each other, so you expect them to be able to counter and reverse each other's moves. But then we got into the end, it was near fall after near fall after near fall after near fall. Plus the fact this match is your main event. It's Will Ospreay, and Tony Khan can't book his shows well enough that we had to have 2 commercial breaks with picture in picture. I could live with one. I would think, Tony, you'd want to do 1 commercial break when you have Will Ospreay in your main event in this big moment. And it was his debut match on AEW Dynamite. And so I would think that, you would make sure you had all your commercials out of the way, or have 1 instead of 2. So the 2 commercial breaks kind of like that. And then the ending, this match was great. And then it got into the ending. It was near fall, back and forth, near fall. And I'm just like, okay, if this is how we're going to get, I mean, I get it at a pay-per-view. I got it with Takeshita. But here I'm like, I think you're overdoing it. And this is where I start worrying that they're going to overexpose Ospreay. And I don't know. I believe the fans are going to hold on for a long time. But again, if he wrestles like this every week, in and out, I think that Will Ospreay magic is going to wane. Not saying Will Ospreay can't wrestle on these shows, but it's got to be real careful who he's against, how much of it he goes. You got to keep a fair balance, or you're gonna run the magic of what is Will Ospreay very, very thin. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. My only gripe really was at the end where I almost said Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle Fletcher is on his knees and he's like, "Go ahead and give it to me." And I was just like, really? I understand that you're fan. This is not a New Japan match though. And that should only be done on a pay-per-view. That, bravado, like, I know you got me, so just get it over with kind of feel.
Yes.
It's like, no. Just no. We expected Will to go over, which is fine. But quit poking holes in your own logical booking, Tony. Jeez.
And yes, they elevated Kyle Fletcher here. And this fool gave this match a 4.5 star, but the other day gave a 5-star match to a non-5-star match. Don't get in it. They definitely elevated Kyle Fletcher in this match. But again, what are they going to do with Kyle Fletcher after this? Why would you, other than it being friends to Will Ospreay, and maybe Will Ospreay just wants to wrestle his friends to get started, but I don't know how much longer that's going to live. But the fact of the matter is, why do we elevate Kyle Fletcher so high if there's probably going to be no follow-through for Kyle Fletcher? We'll wait and see, but I just don't see it.
I'm still thinking the overarching story is, him eventually separating from the Don Callis family. Right now, it's all in love and respect, and I don't think that's.
I'm not getting into that after the Takeshita one and this one. I'm not getting any of that.
Again, that's 2 matches. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be soon. I think that's the overarching story.
I don't know, but if you have a babyface Swerve going into Wimbledon, I think you want the heel Will Ospreay there. He may be aligned with Don Callis through this. He may be heel and aligned with Don Callis until Omega comes back. So who knows how that's going to play out too. Omega's got 2 big feuds coming ahead of him when he gets back. If he's ever going to get back, he's got Okada on one side taking his spot in the Elite, and he's got Will Ospreay showing up with the Don Callis family. So it'll be a definitely wait and see. Of course, Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher were celebrating in the ring when that music hit, and out came Bryan Danielson. He comes out, he smiles, and Will looks at him suspiciously. They don't interact. They don't even get nose to nose. They just kind of stand side by side, staring each other down. So you're assuming this is what's probably going to come. Bryan Danielson and probably Will Ospreay at Dynasty will be a great match. It'll be a great story to tell. I almost, Mr. Clarke got me thinking because I was saying it's a little too soon. But again, Bryan Danielson's winding down his career. So maybe they want to get this out there so they can have this last match on AEW TV before Bryan Danielson winds down to part-time and other stuff. So we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Anyways, this has been your AEW Dynamite post-show review for March 6th, 2024. Overall, it was an average show. I think it had some highlights. Again, it opened up pretty good, other than they stole the colors from NXT 2.0, which is kind of funny. The great opening promo package between Swerve and Joe, and for once, the Undisputed Kingdom felt important, and then quickly died with the opening tag match. The rest of the card was just kind of, the matches were decent, but nothing really did anything. Jericho with Hook, it's just like that's a delete type of situation. With that, the continuing Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Hosley Stokely story, you're kind of like, okay, we have to wait to see this. Okada now being the part of the Elite, or the new Elite, or whatever they're going to call. And I waste a match next week when we get Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. Which I don't know why you're defending that title when it's supposed to be the debut of Mercedes Moné, because she's going to overshadow everything that happens on that card pretty much.
Now, let me just play a real quick what if. I don't believe this is going to happen, but what if Wardlow actually won the World Heavyweight title off of Samoa Joe?
Cool. And does he really deserve it?
Depends how they book it.
They've already booked it. I mean, unless
the actual match itself, not just the promotion of it.
We've seen a Joe Wardlow match. It's 2 big guys. Unless the Undisputed Kingdom costs Joe the match, then where do you go with it? You're gonna have Wardlow versus, or not Wardlow, Swerve versus Wardlow. Is that where we're going? Are the show gonna get a rematch? Are we gonna continue this feud? Are we gonna do one of those stupid CM
rematch at some point?
Are we going to do one of those stupid CM Punk, Shawn Moxley things where CM Punk had to drop the title to Moxley to make Moxley feel better so Moxley could drop it back to him at the pay-per-view? Are we going to hot-shot the title back and forth? Because the match right now for that world title is Swerve and Joe. Wardlow's just... They've wasted this opportunity where they had Wardlow win this. They needed to get through Swerve and Joe first. They needed to end that story before they brought Wardlow in this picture, and rushing.
I mean, they could have teased it, but you're right. They
needed to build Wardlow up, but yes, they needed to tease it. Like tonight, I think they should have put Wardlow and Roderick Strong against Swerve and Joe, so at least we could see Wardlow in there interacting with both Swerve and Joe and feeling like, okay, he's interacting with these guys. That would give him the rub of feeling like he's a main event status level. It would give him kind of that. Yes. If you over the next several weeks while they're feuding, you're having Wardlow, out there watching Joe or, watching Swerve or interfering or being a distraction while also facing people on his own time in his own matches of some relevancy to build up this streak that he definitely needs to feel he's in that level would be great. But rushing to this match next week just kills it. Yes, Tony Khan could totally put the title on Wardlow, but it's way too early. Because Adam Copeland's not healed, and the whole premise is that Wardlow's going to win the world title, hold on to it until Adam Cole is healed, and then he's going to give it to Cole. But we know that feud's partly there. So I mean,
that for sure.
And if Dynasty's going,
if Wardlow did win the title, I don't think he would give it to I almost said Copeland, Adam Cole.
No, I don't think he's going to give it to Cole. But we know what that storyline is. We've seen it so many times,
right?
And I'm like, we're not there now. maybe we run to a time limit draw. Hopefully we don't get it. The only thing is, even if you go to the pay-per-view, you still have Swerve who's involved in this picture. And do we want to go to another pay-per-view with another triple threat for the world title again?
No, thank you.
So, I mean, I'm like, you're wasting Wardlow's opportunity here. You could have had Joe and Swerve at Dynasty. Wardlow could have interfered in that. You could have had an MJF come back and really, like, maybe he cost somebody the title over Wardlow. I don't know. I just think this match rushed on this night. It's way too early. You haven't built up Wardlow to even, he won the shot, but even in what he did to win it, it wasn't impressive. Like, he beat Dante. And I know the other guys were in there, but he pinned Dante, and it's kind of like,
And officially, he beat all those men. He pinned Dante, but he beat all those men.
I know, but he doesn't feel impressive. He doesn't feel like he's there yet. He hasn't beaten anybody to really feel like, okay, he's in the main event. Does he feel like a threat to Joe?
Oh, hell no.
So, I mean, that's the key. I don't see him as a threat to Joe.
Up a talking point.
I know. No, I know. And it's fine, and everybody's allowed to do that, and you can talk about it in the chat, and you can agree and disagree with us. But I mean, Wardlow is just, it's a waste of a time, and it's sad that they're wasting it this quickly. With everything that, and when they waste this, it takes all the air out of the Undisputed Era. Because this is supposed to be their momentum, and their big guy went in there and he didn't do it. What's going to happen? Is Adam going to turn on him? Are we going to break Wardlow away from Undisputed Kingdom already because he didn't get the job done? You know, are we going to go that dance now? So, I mean, it's kind of like, you got to be real careful with the story you're telling. You're trying to make the Undisputed Kingdom feel like they were important, and they felt important tonight until you started the show with that match, and then it all went downhill for Undisputed Kingdom. And then when you're telling me this match is next, it's like, okay, Wardlow, I just don't see Wardlow winning because the main event match for Dynasty needs to be Samoa Joe versus Swerve, one-on-one for the AEW World Title. And Wardlow doesn't fit in there. And I'm just like, you're wasting what could have been after. Wardlow should be getting the title match at Double or Nothing in May. That's where we should be seeing. And Wardlow would have that time to be built up. He could have got some people under his ring. He could have taunted Swerve. He could have taunted Joe during this time. And then in May, into April, into May, when Joe's still the champion, or even if it was Swerve, wherever that title goes, then you could have Wardlow interfering, costing him, and becoming that level and feeling like a real threat. So, because now what are you going to do? Now Wardlow goes in there, faces Joe, unless you have. And I don't know how you end this match. I mean, you have to have Wardlow coming out of this looking strong to even maintain where he is. If Joe beats Wardlow without if it's a clean pin, Wardlow's done in the back of the line and useless again. If you have shenanigans, then you might be able to save it, but I don't know. And then again, here's the part that scares me. They may go to a 20-minute time limit draw. So now we have no winner.
Or disqualification.
Well, it depends on how
the
United Kingdom costs Wardlow by disqualification. It'll be okay, but then that means Wardlow would still be in the title picture. So then we're looking at Joe, Wardlow, and Swerve going into Dynasty, and that's what's bothering me right now.
I hope not, but I do see obviously that as a possibility.
Yeah, I mean you have to. If they're rushing Wardlow here now, you're like, either they're going to flat out beat Wardlow 1, 2, 3, and Wardlow's going to be thrown out of the picture and then possibly out of the Undisputed Kingdom. Because, I mean, I don't know. If he doesn't win the title, then how do you bring him back there? How does Adam Cole, Adam Cole can talk great and sell you, can sell ice cubes to an Eskimo, yes. But how is he going to resell the fans on, Wardlow didn't do it this time, but he'll do it next time? And you're just kind of like, no, that momentum is dead. And so then the only option would be for them to kick him out of the Undisputed Kingdom, and then we're rehashing history way too quickly. And then the Undisputed Kingdom just doesn't feel as, they're barely viable. That's my biggest. So I don't know how they're going to get out of this match to keep the story fresh. Wardlow losing doesn't just hurt Wardlow. It kind of hurts the Undisputed Kingdom and the Devil's storyline.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that, but it kind of just diminishes what their purpose is. And, even now, the Devil storyline is kind of dead because they haven't said a damn thing about MJF. And I think Tony Khan is missing the $1 million opportunity because not only could he be selling the fact that, okay, we don't know if MJF is coming back because of the bidding war 2024, the Undisputed Kingdom still needs to carry out, drop hints. Adam Cole still needs to be out there talking about MJF every once in a while. We chased him off. He's never coming back. There's got to be some bits and pieces of that. That whole storyline's almost dead. I mean, MJF's going to come back and attack Adam Cole and be like, oh, you stole my mask. And everybody's going to be, oh, yeah, that storyline. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And so, I mean, I honestly don't know how you get out of a Wardlow Samoa Joe AEW title match to keep Wardlow relevant now. Unless you do a disqualification or a time limit draw. And then that scares me because that means then Wardlow would be in that picture with Swerve. And then we may wind up with another triple threat match for the AEW title.
Joe just be killing bitches, no matter what.
I'm looking at it going, how do you this afloat without? I mean, if you let Wardlow lose cleanly, or he gets pinned, period, really, or if he submits, I mean, even if he passes out to Joe, he's going to fall off, and it's going to be like, okay,
yeah.
And then, I mean, the storyline with the Undisputed Kingdom, are you really going to have Adam Cole go, okay, he didn't win it this time, but we're going to get prepared, and he'll be back. And everybody's going to be like, yeah, okay, cool. So, to me, you either have to have Wardlow win, which is not the right time, or you're going to have a disqualification or a time limit draw, and then that means Wardlow is going to have a right to a rematch somehow, and then Swerve's going to have his match. I pray to God we're not heading for another triple threat match. And hell, who knows? Could it turn into a four-way? Could we throw Hangman back in there just to make sure Swerve doesn't win?
Oh, hell. That wouldn't surprise me because that's still his overarching story.
They haven't even ended that story. I mean, it's like Swerve's over here fighting for the title. Wardlow's there fighting for the title, and he doesn't need to be there. Hangman's like, oh, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure Swerve never wins it. And it's just like, that story is on an endless loop of, it's like Tony Khan. Some of these stories you need to build on in the right direction. Some of these stories you need to start closing up because they're past their shelf life. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for being here. We thank you for taking part. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Let's get all these likes out here that we can. Make sure you ring that bell for notifications so whenever we go live or new content comes up on the channel. Like today, we had several videos that got posted. Go check those out. I reviewed WWE 2K24, the showcase of the Immortals. We did the whole walkthrough on that. Had a big time rants yesterday. We had Miguel Z with the New Japan Pro Wrestling Rebound podcast up on the air, so make sure you check that out. There's several other videos that are on the channel. Tomorrow, the week in review.
Preview.
There you go. Mr. Clarke will be bringing you that tomorrow. And, of course, anything else. And then we'll be back Friday for what should hopefully be an awesome SmackDown, as Rock is going to be there. Cody and Seth are going to be there. This should be electrifying, and WWE needs to do this right. Please, Triple H. Please, Brian Gerwitz. Please, Rock. Please, Cody. Please, all you guys, hit the ballpark. I mean, this should be a grand slam, an easy grand slam. You guys got to nail this one. AEW tonight, average. Just average. They had some high points. It's been, I can see why people say good because it's been better than a lot of the crap we've been getting for the last few weeks. Yes.
I was going to say, well, according to our poll, half the folks say average and half the folks say good.
No, and I think it's there. It was like I was balancing out. Is it average or is it good? Because it's like on that fine line. There was some good points to it, there's some average points, and if you rate it to what has been on the last few weeks, it was actually pretty damn good. But we got there. There's some major issues. Hopefully Tony Khan can fix them, get them arranged. And Tony, don't make your show important by having Will Ospreay on every single Dynamite, giving a Will Ospreay banger of a match. I'm promising you that will take away from the magic. That is what's made Ospreay as hot as he is because in New Japan, it wasn't every day, all day, every week. It was sporadic. It was here and there. And so it was lightning in a bottle that you got to see every once in a while. If you start putting it on every week at the banger level, I'm not talking like he can beat some of these lower end guys and have little, quick 10-minute matches and not necessarily have to do all his showing off, but you don't need Ketchner level, Kyle Fletcher level banger matches that we've seen. So don't give me Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay on Dynamite. That would be money thrown out the window for
Absolutely.
Mr. Clarke. Is there anything you want to say before we get out of here tonight?
I think we're good. We can wait. We're heading towards SmackDown and see what happens there.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We are growing at a rapid pace. We were at 271 for before the show started. I hope we got a couple more because that'll be awesome. Always growing, always learning, always developing. This is the Value Wrestling right here on YouTube on the big time. That is Mr. Paulus Clarke. We thank you for being here. We will see you on the next one. We are going to get out of here. La-di-da-di. It's time.